Hello friends, welcome to this second unit wherein we'll be talking about the computer hardware and software. Let us discuss the hardware resources first, then we'll move on to the software resources, and we'll be also talking a little bit about the networkings, the networks, and then we'll also talk about a little bit on databases. So this would be the agenda in this particular unit. So let us start with hardware and software resources, and let me first talk about the hardware resources. I hope you know that these are the various hardware resources that are made use of. These are all the input devices. You can have a look here. The camera, again it can be an input device, the joystick, mouse and mic, and the touch tablet that you use in your homes many a times. Now this is the touch part, right? So this is how you actually input the data. So this is the touch part basically. So if somebody is making some changes here, this would start reflecting here on the screen. So this is why this is called an input device. Handheld scanners, you must have seen them in the retail stores, and then we've got the keyboards through which you key in the information, and the flatbed scanners, which are meant for converting some photograph or some hard copy into a soft copy, right? So these are all input devices. Then we have got the output devices. You know about all of them, so I'm not going to discuss them in detail. You've got the speakers here, the monitor, we've got the projector and the printers and all. So these are all basically output devices. Fine. Now let us talk a little bit about the server. Now what is a server? Now server is a word that you might have heard. Specifically, if you have gone to a particular bank branch, you might have heard this particular word server there. Wherever you find 2-3 computers, one of them could be functioning as a server. Now what is the job of the server? Now please understand, before moving on to the server, I'll let you know, in those computers, in those places where there are only 2-3 computers, then the CPU of one of these computers can act as a server. However, if there are so many computers, hundreds and thousands, then many a times this may not have the kind of capacity required to function as a server. So in that case, this would be the server. So we would have such bulky servers in that case, right? So for example, if you go to a particular firm, some production unit wherein all the computers are connected, there are 100 to 150 odd computers there. All of them are connected to the server and they are making use of the server facilities. Then this would be the kind of server that would be used there. This is fine. So, and in a bank branch, a small bank branch, this would be the server, right? Now what is a server? Server basically stores information that other computers can share. So it is called server because it is providing some service. For example, it has some information which the other computers, they can make use of, they can share. Now please understand one more thing. The computers which make use of the facilities provided by the server, they are known as the clients. So this kind of a system is called the server client system, right? Server client configuration. So this is a server client relationship. So server would be the computer which would be providing the service, while the client would be the computers which would be making use of the services provided by the server. This is fine. So as I said, server also provides services to the client. These kind of services, I'm just giving you some examples. Email services, internet access, use of application software, data sharing. So what do we mean by this? It could so happen that, let's say, if it is a small bank branch, now this would be the kind of server which would be required. So another computer can be a server. In this case, all the data of the branch would be stored in this server, and this would not be used for normal day-to-day functioning. And whenever a client computer wants some information, it can fetch the information from this server. Or for example, if the client computer is working on some MIS, the program, the structure, the the programming of MIS would be there in the server, and the client computers would only be making use of the MIS program which is stored here in this server. Is this fine? And plus, many a times this server would also provide them connectivity, internet connectivity. So it would so happen that the server is having access to the internet, it is connected to the internet, so it would also provide this connectivity to the client computers. Fine, right? And as I said, if there are 100, 150, 200, 3000, you would find that this is the kind of a server which would be required in those cases. Why? See, this would have much more capacity than this. Don't go by the external shape, it would be having the same components as this would have, this has. However, there would be the difference that the capacity here would be multifold, manifold. So the capacity would be much higher, the processing speed and the data storage capability would be much higher, right? So now this is what a server is. Now let's talk a little bit about the communication devices. I'm not saying that the server is a communication device, and that is why communication device I'm showing now. So I'm just making use of the empty space actually. So now one communication device which helps computers connect to each other, or computers separated by a considerable physical distance get connected to each other, is the VSAT. What happens basically, please understand, there are computers here. Now there's a computer here, it is connected to the VSAT. From the VSAT it is basically doing what? Now VSAT is the very small aperture terminal, right? Now what is happening? The computer is connected to the VSAT, and the VSAT would be installed on the roof so that it can communicate with the satellite, and there would be communication through the satellite. Now what will happen? The VSAT can upload the signals to the satellite and also can download the signals from the satellite, and this satellite would then again be connected to a hub. Hub is basically here the headquarter, for example, right? So it could also be connected to some other computer or some other VSATs, just like it has been shown here. Now see, have a look here. So these are all computers. Let's say these are different bank branches located in different districts of the state. So they are all bank branches, and let's say they are all, these bank branches have one computer each. So now they are connected now. And how are they connected? They've got a VSAT. This VSAT will get connected to the satellite, will download and upload the data from here. And for example, if these two branches want to communicate, so they would be communicating to the satellite. You understand this point, right? So this is what is happening here, and this is what is shown here. So this double-headed arrow means VSAT would be sending signals to satellite and receiving also, and satellite would be sending signals to VSAT and receiving also. And what is basically happening? So there is no direct communication between these two VSATs. The communication is through the satellite, and these are the computers here. This is a bank branch. So the two bank branches communicate using the satellite, and this is the headquarter basically. So the headquarter probably at the Dehradun also would get connected to all these branches. Is this fine? So this is how many of the banks actually communicate. Many of the bank branches communicate to each other. This is one communication tool which is used by the bank branches and post office branches also, right? So this is one. And now the second one is the modem. Now what do we mean by the modem? Now here please have a look. The modem has been installed here and here. Now modem is basically modulator and demodulator. It will convert the digital signal into analog signal. So this is modulation, and converting the analog signal back into digital signals, this is the demodulation, and that is why MO stands for modulation and DM stands for demodulation, and that is why it's called a modem. So let's say there's a computer, and supposing this is one office and this is the other office of the same firm, and they want to communicate with each other. So what will they do? They will be leasing a telephone line which has been shown here, and this modem will actually do what? Will convert the digital signals emanating from here or from this particular computer, from this particular office. The digital signals would be converted to analog signals, and then they would be transferred over the telephone line, and at the receiving point also there would be a modem which would convert the analog signals back into digital signals, and now these digital signals can be interpreted by the computers here or by the office here. This is fine. So this is how the communication devices work, right? So with this we have understood what hardware is and what software is, and what I'll do now is I'll end this particular session, and I'll be talking about these softwares in the next session. Thank you very much.